Hello there. Can everyone hear me well?
Absolutely. How's
Okay,
everyone?
great. Hello there. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thanks so much for joining the Startup Club Healthtech Investment Conference. My name is Batuan, and I'll be the host today. I see some similar familiar faces, but also some new faces as well. So for those who are joining the first time, the Startup Club is a global entrepreneur community. So since 2019, we organize industry-specific investment conferences and pitch nights to connect startups with investors. We focus a couple of industries. Health tech is one of them, but we also focus AI, B2Tech, fashion tech, green tech, fintech, edtech, and it goes like that. We have about 80,000 people on our social community. We also provide startups some services for their fundraising and growth journey. And today, we invited 5 health tech startups in different fields and different areas. I just share my screen so that you can take a look at them as I'm speaking. We have startups from heart failure management, soft tissue repair, medical affairs, and pharmaceutical engagement, and more. And each company will do a 5-minute presentation that will be followed by a 7-minute Q&A with the advisory board members. And we work with 4 investors for the advisory board from LBO Friends, Panakes Partner, Meditech Innovation Hub / Teal Ventures, Impact Ventures. And yeah, so the event will take about 90 minutes. There won't be no break and no additional discussion, only the pitch and after pitch discussion. I guess that's when I will ask the advisory board members to introduce themselves. Kate, would you like to introduce them yourself? I guess, okay. Now you can unmute yourself, Kate. Sorry. Kate, are you there or are you having trouble on connection? Anyway, let's start with Giacomo. Giacomo, could you please introduce yourself? Okay, maybe. Okay, now I think you can unmute yourself, Kate.
Yep, I can. Thanks.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so hi, everybody. I'm Keith Winter. I invest for basically 3 different entities. So one is I'm a partner at Teal Ventures. We do health tech investing, seed to A. And then I also involved in a new venture called the Meditech Innovation Hub, which is a venture studio for medtech devices. And then I'm also a member of several large angel groups, including New Fund and HIPS. So happy to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Great. Thanks so much, Kate. It's a pleasure to have you with us again. Giacomo.
Good afternoon, everyone. Giacomo Picinini. I'm investment manager in Panakes Partners. We are a venture capital firm based in Italy. We invest in life science exclusively. We have 250 million euros under management, and we invest from seed to pre-IPO rounds with more focus on Series A and Series B in general. And that's it.
Thanks so much, Giacomo. Great to have you with us today. Gabor from Impact Ventures.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gabor from Impact Ventures. I'm an investment manager here. We are based in Hungary, but investing in the whole region of Europe. Health tech investments and medtech investments, it's one of our focus area. We invest from seed up to Series A stage. Currently managing 20 companies in our portfolio. And yeah, we are happy to be here. Thank you for the Startup Club to organizing these events, and I'm waiting to hear the presentations.
So thanks so much, Gabor. Mattis.
Yeah, hi everybody. Great to be here today. My name is Mattis. I work for LBO France, a Paris-based venture capital / PE platform company. Myself, I invest together with 4 other partners, a mixture of medical doctors, one of them myself, and finance people. currently into second generation digital health fund of 155 million Series A, Series B, with tickets between 3 and 7 million, up to 50 million over the entire lifetime. And yeah, happy to be here and already seeing some familiar faces. Looking forward to hearing the presentations.
Great, thanks so much for being with us today. And before we start with the pitch, actually, we like to feature another entrepreneur and startup, Paying Tools, which is not be presenting today, but hopefully maybe our next event. Lynn is there as well. Paying Tool is actually a digital health platform using AI and guided self-care to help women managing their chronic pain and improving daily life. We will share a link to this company, and after this event, you will also receive pitch deck of Paying Tool, and hopefully in the future you will hear more about this Paying Tool. Just to welcome to this company to our community as well. All right, and first company, the first pitch is ACORAI. Philip Peters will share the opportunity with us. Philip, you will have 5 minutes to pitch. After your 5 minutes, you will have about 7 minutes for the Q&A part. Now you should be able to share your screen and start when you are ready.
See here. Well, first of all, thanks for having us on. Let's see if this works. Let's see, that's...
Yep, now we are seeing your screen.
Great. Well, nice to be here, everyone. My name is Philip Peters. I am the co-founder and CEO of ACORAI. We are a Swedish company focused on heart failure management. Specifically, we're looking to help personalize heart failure therapy with the help of non-invasive cardiac and pulmonary pressure sensing. So, as I'm sure many of you are aware, there is a large unmet need for better tools that can help us understand and manage over 60 million heart failure patients worldwide. The problems are really all across the workflow. So starting from the emergency department, where time taken for an acute diagnosis is both timely and costly, to the inpatient management of these patients, where you're actually experiencing an average loss on these patients in the US, to the outpatient setting where follow-up is subpar, to say the least. What we do know for sure is that the cardiac and pulmonary pressures, so the blood pressures inside the heart, are a very helpful way of understanding and managing these patients, but existing tools are unfortunately both invasive and resource intensive. What we have done over the past 6 years is develop a non-invasive device that can estimate the cardiac and pulmonary pressures simply by placing the device, which has a sensor backside, to the patient's chest for about 5 minutes. This allows us to estimate both the right atrial pressure and the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, so you get a sense of both the left-sided and right-sided pressures, which gives you a very complete picture of the patient's condition and allows you to both identify heart failure and better manage heart failure. It is based on what we call the SAVE sensor system. This is a first of its kind multimodal sensor platform, which has been trained on over 2,000 patients worth of data, which allows us to both estimate these left-sided and right-sided pressures, but also provide a hemodynamic congestion index, which has been shown to be more prognostic than either of these pressures alone, which allows you to track the patient's condition over time. We recently presented data from our pivotal CAPTURE-HF study, which was a 1,600 patient study across 20 hospitals in 6 countries. Half of the patients were in US patients. This was a prospective study, which was tested in a large out-of-sample patient cohort. And what we've been able to show is that we have high sensitivity and strong negative predictive value for ruling out hemodynamic congestion, which is the primary use case that this type of device will be used for, particularly in the go-to-market setting, which is the inpatient hospitalized heart failure patient workflow. So how do we see that we can add value in our go-to-market workflow? It is really about making better decisions all throughout the patient journey, from the day of admission, so making sure that we're admitting the right patients and we're doing it fast, to the daily readings and checkups on these patients. Here it is about optimizing therapy for these patients better, and then making better discharge decisions. So figuring out which patients have had sufficient therapy, which do not have residual congestion, which is a very large problem in today's workflow, and which are stable enough to be sent home. There are many economic benefits to our device, and we think the ROI for our device is probably well above 20x for a hospital, your average hospital in the US. And this comes from a reduction in length of stay, reduction in readmissions, and a reduction in unnecessary admissions in the first place. We're initially targeting this in-clinic market for many reasons, but primarily because we think it has the highest ability and willingness to pay compared to other workflows. Wherever there's a heart failure patient, there is long-term value to be had with the ACORAI device. So we will, of course, go further into other workflows, including the emergency department, outpatient cardiology, and ultimately into the remote patient monitoring setting as well as the years go on. In terms of competition, we are uniquely positioned in that we have a device that is able to estimate both the right-sided and left-sided pressures. We have a device that is multi-patient and easy to use, which allows us to have repeated measurements, really for the first time of hemodynamic congestion that we've seen. And it's been validated in what are now the world's largest clinical data sets in this space. We have a global team spread out across Europe. We're a technical founding team, so we've taken this device from inception of the idea to where it's at today. We have a great advisory board, which has supported us throughout the years, both from a medtech executive perspective, but also, of course, some of the world's leading heart failure specialists, particularly in the non-invasive hemodynamic monitoring space. We're currently raising a $4.5 million round. We've just done a first $2.5 million close. We have another $2 million remaining in the second close in January, of which half is committed by the EIC fund. This capital will take us to the next major value inflection point as a company, which is attaining FDA clearance and CE marking, 2 health economic studies showing the value of our device across the inpatient cardiology and emergency care workflows, and some early revenue from our research use only commercialization plans for next year. If you're interested, please reach out to Philip Peters at ACORAI.com, and happy to take any questions.
Great. Thanks so much, Philip. Great presentation. Kate, would you like to start? Okay, you want to raise your hands. Please go ahead.
Thanks for your presentation. So I had 2 questions. One is it a disadvantage that you're not doing a continuous measurement? As I understood it, you're just doing measurements at specific points of time. And then the other question is, can you talk more about the device you're using and the sensors and what you're actually measuring? Thank you.
Yeah, so on your first question, in general, the cardiac and pulmonary pressures are relatively slow-moving targets, unless you're in a very critical situation, which is a very small part of the shock population. And what's been shown in the implantable devices is that once a day is more than sufficient to drive better patient outcomes, and even doing it every 2 days seems to be enough to drive important clinical insights. So I would say, in the ideal world, we would have continuous measurements, but it's by no means a disadvantage. On the device, right? So I had to skip over this slide a little bit quicker. We've taken a lot of inspiration from the oil and gas industry to derive the multimodal sensor platform that we built. It is built on what we call the SAVE sensor system. So we look at seismic, acoustic, visual, and electric sensors. In terms of the seismic sensors, we're looking at highly sensitive accelerometers and gyroscopes that can detect very small chest wall vibrations on the surface of the skin. For the acoustic sensors, we have our own electronic stethoscopes, if you will, which are optimized for a slightly higher frequency range than your typical stethoscope, but also slightly lower than your typical ultrasound frequency range. And then we have PPG sensors and ECG sensors. We take a sensor fusion approach here, so it is really finding patterns in how these waveforms are related to each other, which is sort of the secret sauce from a machine learning perspective. And we've been able to do that both through our clinical data partnerships that we have, but also through the proprietary data sets that we have collected in over 2,000 patients to date.
All right, thanks. And by the way, what are the terms on your round?
So the terms, we're doing a safe note. So it's a 20% discount to the next round, and we've set a 25 million US cap.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Matthews?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Philip. Great seeing you again. Could you elaborate briefly again about the space that you are entering first? So you described that you go into outpatient first and then later on to emergency medicine. And I don't quite understand that, given that the current competitive, much more invasive device comes from the intensive care and emergency medicine. Why would you go into the more outpatient and less emergency space first?
We're going into the hospitalized heart failure patient workflow first, right? So and this slide represents that, right? So from the day of the patient showing up with symptoms that could be heart failure, we want to help triage that patient faster and more accurately to the daily measurements when the patient has been hospitalized, right? And here it's about adjusting diuretic therapy. It's about optimizing GDMT for these patients and figuring out which patients should be discharged or not, right? And a big problem today is that we're discharging a lot of patients with residual congestion. By some estimates, upwards of 40% of patients are being discharged when they shouldn't be discharged. And that is simply because it's so difficult to assess these patients, right? They feel fine, they look fine, but they still have some inherent, let's call it instability that needs to be dealt with. And then ultimately further down the line, right, it's about following up with these patients in the outpatient setting. As you probably know, many of these patients come back 7 days later or 30 days later for another checkup. And that's where we think having an ACORAI device could be really helpful in seeing whether the patient is still stable or whether there's been, some form of adverse development in their condition that needs to be dealt with.
And if I may just add, can you say anything about price or business model?
Yeah, so we're targeting a $7,500 US dollar per device per year model, at least for the inpatient setting. We're currently exploring different pricing models for different countries. Singapore, for example, tends to prefer a paper test type of model. That is something that we're exploring there, for example. So it will depend on the market, but for the US market, it will primarily be an annual subscription model.
Thanks.
Have you considered a pay-per-use model in the US?
We have for the emergency department use case where I think, it's a very black and white, yes, no, this patient has hemodynamic congestion. I think for the inpatient cardiology, what we're realizing is that this device is going to be used for so many different reasons and in so many different ways that at least for the initial year and launch, we want to keep that exploration mode for their customers, I suppose. And that's where it's a little bit more difficult to cap them at a paper test. But it's something we are exploring. I think for the outpatient setting, again, a paper test might work because I think the reason you would do an assessment with the ACORAI would be a lot more clear. But it's still, as you can hear, in exploration for us.
And if you talk to actual customers about that model, because it seems experience you get pushback, either it's a kind of a one-time sale or it's more of a per use model, but you have kind of a SaaS model for this, and I just wonder if you're going to get pushback on it.
No, so I think on the contrary, right? I think because it's priced at such a level that we're effectively renting it out, right? And it fits within most operational expense budgets of clinics in the US, which means, the customers that we're engaging with are able to drive a buying decision in most of these cases. So I think there it works, but we're also finding that the emergency department and inpatient cardiology are two different worlds in terms of who we're talking to as decision makers. So that's also why we've decided to focus a lot more on inpatient cardiology for our go-to-market strategy.
All right. Yeah, time is actually up. Thanks so much, Philip. Great presentation. Thank you for the advisors contributing this discussion.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right. Next company, next entrepreneur, Saif Khalil. If you are ready, by the way, Saif. Because I know you thought you will be at the third place.
Yes,
but if you are ready, we can go with you. Okay, then.
I'm ready, so I'll just share my slides.
All right, then. Yep, you will have 5 minutes to pitch, then 7 minutes for Q&A.
All right, thank you. All right.
Yep, now I see your
Can you
screen.
can you see can you see my slides?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you everyone for being on the call. My name is Saif Khalil. I'm the CEO and founder of Aevumed. We
Say, by
are
the
a
way, just to say,
yes.
we don't see you, by the way. I don't know if it's intentionally or but we don't see you. Your camera is not open.
Not a problem. Let me activate that for you. How's that?
Yeah, okay, now we see you.
All right, thank you. So again, Aevumed, we are a sports medicine company. We make surgical implants specifically for soft tissue repair. Here's the investment opportunity. It is an 8 million round. We have secured 3 out of the 8 million so far. We're looking to have our investors exit in about 4 years with an average ROI about 15x. And we have 2 categories for this investment. We have a Reg D, which is more of a really targeted towards accredited investors. The minimum for that is 50K. But we also have a Reg CF, which we filed with the SEC last month at $9 per share, and the minimum for that is just only $1,000. Open again for non-accredited investors as well. So both are going at the same time simultaneously to close the rest of this round, which is only 5 million. As I was saying earlier, we're focused on sports medicine, which is basically soft tissue in the musculoskeletal area. Think about the rotator cuff, Achilles tendon in your foot, and so forth. This is the fastest growing area in orthopedics today. It's a $12 billion market and it's growing about 7% on an annual basis. What really differentiates us from our competitors is the fact that we're not chasing trends. Most of the industry focuses on trends.
But we see
Yes?
some black.
Yes, sorry. You can continue, Safe. I think it's clear.
Okay, great. Thank you. So as I was mentioning, the industry is on a trend base in most cases, meaning that a company may get a product, everyone kind of wants to chase that technology and get something similar. We neglect that to a large portion. We're really focused on clinical first, seeing what the real needs are based on customer feedback, who are our surgeons. And we use also a proprietary AI technology that we've developed in-house that allows us to look at a lot of data and along with the surgeons to make sure that we're tackling the clinical problem. I'll give you one example for that. We have a rotator cuff problem right now. 1 in 5 patients come back with a re-tear after surgery today. This is a very high incidence, 20%, very high for any surgery, to have these patients come back again. It's a lot of costs on the industry. So based on our model with the surgeons and also looking at our proprietary AI technology that we've developed a 3D printed system, and we have multiple patents in this area that allows us to basically fabricate this scaffold. And here's a good illustration in this animation that shows you how this works. So what you're looking at right now is a rotator cuff in your shoulder. If you have a full thickness tear, you can use this device with the scaffold that's bioprinted in-house over here, and you're able to secure the scaffold to the rotator cuff. And once you're complete with this portion, the surgeon now can basically repair using our anchor systems, which we have available. And usually they use 2 rows in a classical rotator cuff repair system. So what you see going in is an anchor. Think of it as a screw going into the bone. They have 2 classically next to each other on the first row. And now you're seeing the second row, which is being used right now. And again, they use our anchors to do this. So again, this is a very unique system. It's much, much faster. It's saving over 25 minutes, almost a third of the surgery time. So it's very quick, but more importantly, it's better for the patient as far as outcomes. There's a lot of data to support using the right material in the right place. You can really help things happen. So right now, currently, we have sales. We are a revenue generating company. We have 4 510Ks already available. All these products are available on the market. The last 2 came out just very recently this year. And we are starting to grow our sales, and all of our manufacturing is in-house. Our current gross margins is 75%. Last year in sales, we did about 680,000, and going to the end of this year, we're approaching between 800 to 1 million in sales. We have 2 other products under FDA, and we have a bunch of other products under development. Our goal is basically to have 10 products by the end of next year, where we plan to be break even. And we have over 17 patents already filed, and some of them already issued and published. Our executive team and our board is fantastic. Very fortunate to be working with them. I've been in industry for over 20 years. So has my co-founder, Miles Curtis, who's the VP of engineering. And we also have a great sales force leader, William Warrender, who has been 35 years in the orthopedic space. Our board of directors are veterans from the orthopedic space as well. Many of them have been executives at large companies such as Smith & Nephew. And we also have a world-renowned surgeon, Dr. Williams, who has been the president of the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons. So we look to exit, as I mentioned earlier, in about 4 years, and we do have a list of number of potential strategics. One of them have actually invested in us already, and so they're looking for our portfolio to grow. So I'm going to end with a slide. Thank you for your attention. Again, this is the investment opportunity, and happy to take any questions from anyone right now. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Saif. By the way, yeah, they were right. Like there are some black boxes around this, corner of the slides. Maybe you want to reshare during the Q&A so that we can have the full slides. Giacomo, would you like to start this time? Okay, sorry. Now you can unmute yourself, Giacomo. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Saif, for the presentation. I have a couple of questions in my mind. So the first one, what is the selling price for the device? Is it the same for each procedure, or they have differences? And the second one is, you made an example on the rotator cuff procedure that with the current standard of care, they have 25-35% relapse at 1 year. Do you have any clinical data, both from studies or real-world evidence, about these statistics with your device?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So the first part is on pricing. So we have 4 510Ks. The device that I showed you is the Phantom X, and that's a very big topic. 1 in 5 patients come back, as you just mentioned. So it's a big problem. That device, the Phantom X with the 3D printed scaffold, is not on the market yet. It's under development, and that's why we're completing the race to be able to get that product out on the market, as we need to complete some of the biocompatibility studies and other validation studies that's ongoing. So as far as pricing, to going to your question regarding the existing products, we have 4 510Ks, which are anchors and different anchors for repairing the rotator cuff. It's used today. Our pricing is basically better than what's out there. And even with that, our gross margin is still at 75%, as I mentioned. And we're able to do that is because we manufacture in-house. We control a lot of our supply chain. We control all of our quality procedures in-house, and we're able to make all these implants in-house. So we are very competitive on a price-wise, and that's the only reason we're able to sell our product. If we're in Cleveland Clinic, for example, we sell at NYU, we sell at Campbell Clinic, and many other institutions around the country. The only reason is we're able to sell there is not only because of the technology, but the main criteria actually is the pricing, to your point. So I hope that answers your question. As far as the clinical data that you asked about as well, for the rotator cuff, using the material that we're using with the collagen patch, yes, there's a lot of data that does support that. We won't have our data, obviously, until we have our 510K. And just for everyone's knowledge, a 510K does not mean you necessarily need to have a clinical study to get the 510K clearance from the FDA. So all of our products actually are cleared with the FDA. Once they're on the market, then we can collect data on that.
Thank you. No, just 2 follow-up questions on the price. If you can give me a number, maybe not yours if you're not comfortable sharing, but at least from the competitors, just to have a range of what the cost could be. And on clinical data, yeah, I know 510Ks that does not require clinical data. So I was not referring to any regulatory to collect data for regulatory purposes, but more for adoption purposes, to come to clinician and say, well, currently you have 35% relapse at 1 year. If you use my technology, you have 5, 10. So you can use my product and to have a better clinical outcome.
Yes, and to show that data, you must get the 510K first, right? We cannot use it in human until we get the 510K. So the plan, to your point, yes, I agree, is to first get the product out, and then we can start getting our clinical data. But again, there is publication I'll be happy to share that shows when you use these specific materials that we're using, you can significantly reduce the re-tear rates. So you can do that. As far as the pricing, obviously we're in a very competitive market, so all I can say is that our ASP is below what there are. But more specifically for the scaffold, this is very important. The Phantom X, which is a scaffold for the rotator cuff, 3D printed. Right now, all of the competitive products are actually more than the average Medicare reimbursement. So most surgery centers, ASC, are losing money right now. They use it for work comp patients, or unless the patient is going to pay for it. Because we manufacture everything in-house, our ASP is going to be less than those products, and it will be within the reimbursement, which is already established. We don't have to create a new CPT code. It's already established. But because we control the technology, the manufacturing, we control the cost. And our target is to be below that, and that's going to put us in a very unique position when we get this product out in the market.
Gabor, how about you? Any comments or questions from your side?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. My question would be that does surgeons have to do certain trainings to adapt to your technology, or is it going to be quite similar to, for example, to Arthrex, Stryker, or yeah, just that's the question. So does that need a certain training to use your technology and your method?
That's a very good point. It's a very low training whenever we have any of our technology, and we have experience with this now and under our belt. One of our unique anchors, for example, is a rotator cuff anchor that has been used with surgeons, and it's a new technology. But the reason we've been training them is because there's always a subtle difference, but the technology is very, very easy to use. And here's a good example. What you see on the screen is actually one of our anchors that we sell today on the left-hand side, right? It's a very unique anchor. All the sutures are inside the anchor rather on the outside. Arthrex, as you mentioned, on the right-hand side, the sutures always cut through the bone. So we solved that problem with this product that we currently have on the market. We're generating sales. Whenever we have this product, we always show it to the surgeon. It's very similar, as you can see. It's still an anchor. So to your point, yes, there's training, but it's extremely low training. Usually we go to the first case, and once they try to the first case, they kind of get the technology, how it works.
Okay, and what do you see as a bottleneck in a scaling? Because you mentioned that you have a kind of a built-up distribution connections. So what do you see? What is the bottleneck in scaling?
And we need very, very short answer for the 5.
Sure. So, I mean, in short, I mean, we're dealing with distributors around the country. They're all 1099s. So it's very straightforward the way our sales channels is put together. So that's kind of how we're selling everything right now. We're heavy in the northeast of the US, but that's how we're selling right now is dealing with distributors. And I'll happy to take more questions offline if you would like.
All right.
Okay, thank you
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you, advisor. Thank you, Saif. Great presentation. Great to see you with us today. All right, then. Next company is Sensor. Francesco Petrini will share the opportunity with us. Francesco, you can share your screen and start when you're ready. We see the screen now, but we don't hear you.
Here we go. You shall be seeing me now.
Yes, we do.
All right, fantastic. Hello, everyone. I'm an MIT nominated top innovator under 35. This was happening when I was still an under 35 eventually. Well, why did I arrive to that point? Because I spent a decade advancing neurotechnology at some of the top Europe's universities. I realized that our research could change millions of lives, and so I created Sensars. Our mission: diabetic foot ulcers are the leading cause of amputation, with over 260,000 new cases every year only in Europe and in the United States. We are going to change that. How ulcers occur? Well, diabetes destroys the nerves of the legs. And when those nerves stop working, people stop feeling their feet. They start walking unnaturally, and without realizing it, they press too hard on the heel or the toes until the skin deteriorates and ulcers form. Now, once you get an ulcer, life gets complicated. Indeed, ulcer treatment is a nightmare. You are 3 months in and out the hospital. Ulcers heal today with standard of care in only 50% of the cases. And if the ulcer doesn't heal, there is a 50% chance that you will get an amputation. This is why prevention is so important. Yet prevention today is really outdated. There are just offloading shoes or foot inspection and creams every day that people really cannot adopt. We need better prevention. And we provide it by solving the root cause of the problem, which is the loss of sensory feedback. We restore the natural feeling in the feet. But how do we do that? We adopt a non-existing approach we've been perfecting for the last 10 years. Stimulation from inside the nerve that reactivates the nerve and restores foot sensation. And then we connect the stimulation with sensors in the shoe so that sensations are connected to the walking. Sense is patented and has received a breakthrough device designation from the FDA. This works, if you're wondering. We've tested these in 40 animals, in 7 human amputee patients. The results were very good. We restore 100% of the foot sensation, and these enable patients to walk 30% faster, falls to drop by 80%, and pain to decrease by 70%. I showed you a huge unmet need, a solution that can solve it. Now let's talk economics. There are already existing reimbursement codes, and the health economics is very favorable because treating an ulcer and an amputation exceeds $100,000 today. This gives us the opportunity for a premium pricing, $30,000 for the implanted device, plus $500 per patient per year for licensing our telemonitoring services. The business can scale big because there are 1.7 million patients every year losing foot sensations because of diabetes. This is our TAM, a total addressable market. Our first focus is clear: patients with a history of ulcer. We are conducting a patient survey, and we found that 75% of those patients with a history of ulcer would undergo a surgery to avoid going through ulcer treatment again. This is a market opportunity of $16 billion every year. We're built for commercialization, but we position for an acquisition. How? By beginning of 2027, we acquire data also on diabetics, and then by the end of 2028, we finish a commercial study to get FDA approval. This is our desired exit that can deliver an estimated return on investment of 8.5 for those who invest today. And this is benchmarked with previous exits in the space. If we decide to scale further, after 2 years of commercialization and 50 million in revenues, an exit can deliver a 15x. Ours offer. We're opening a convertible note of 2.5 million, 20% discount, 6% interest. This is an opportunity to join a company that has already achieved important milestones, the hardest ones. We've got proof of concept in humans. We got a breakthrough device designation from the FDA, a strong IP portfolio, and an economic traction because we've raised 4.4 million already, dollars, 80% of which in non-dilutive grants. This is an investment through which we will deliver the first clinical data on diabetic patients and safety package for the pivotal approval. In other words, with this round, we really finished de-risking the business to position Sensars for the next valuation step and the exit window. This is a game changer for diabetic food care. Now, the question is simple. Do you want to watch this happen or do you want to be part of it? Thank you.
Amazing. Great presentation, Francesco. Mateus, would you like to start this time? What do you think? Okay, just a second, Mateus. Now you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. So Francesco, thanks for the presentation and congratulations on the milestones achieved so far. So two questions. One is, can you say a little bit about the production of the device and its gross margin, number one? And number two, can you elaborate on the telehealth aspect of it? Like, why would you do it? And how does it feed into the whole offering? Thank you.
All right. So I mentioned that the pricing would be 30K. We estimate that the cost for producing is going to be around 4,000, giving us a margin of more than 80%. We've done this estimation with benchmarks of how other implantables cost today to the industry, plus with our manufacturers, suppliers with which we're doing the production today. This is question number one. Question number two, yes, about the telemonitoring service. So we have a sensor ID sold that is under the foot sole of the patient all the time. So we acquire data. Since we acquire data, we can use these for processing the information. And we use the processing of this information to first inform the patient and the clinician whether there is a danger ongoing, in addition to the sensory feedback that is always ongoing when the patient uses the system. And the second part is to assess whether the class of risk of the patient is decreasing over time, meaning that the therapy is functioning. And that if that is not the case, then the clinician can come back to the patient and adapt the therapy to maximize the outcome. The business side of these is befold. The first one, this is an incentive for the referring doctor. So the one that has in care the patient, that sends it to which is a diabetologist, endocrinologist, podiatrist, and sends it to a surgeon. And the second part is that there is an economics behind. There are already available reimbursement codes for telemonitoring, especially in the United States. And they reimburse on the range of $1,300 per patient per year.
Thank you.
All right, Kate, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a good question because I want to ask, just go back to the basics. You're not actually solving ulcers, right? You're preventing ulcers. Is that correct?
Very correct. Yes.
Okay. And then when you did your testing with the 7 people, how long did you do it to know that you prevented ulcers? And it's difficult in a way because you don't know if they're going to get ulcers, correct?
Correct. So the first thing that we needed to do in order to arrive to the final demonstration with diabetics was to understand whether we were able to restore natural sensation from the feet, from 100% of the foot, most importantly, and whether the surgery would have been reliable. In order to test these, we went first to amputees. Why? Because they have the same exact thigh, and we implanted that portion of the body of diabetics. And because with amputees, you have the regulatory barriers, which are much lower. So with this case study, with this proof of concept, we demonstrated indeed 100% restoration of sensation from the foot and the safety and reliability of the approach. The next step is what we're looking to raise money for, which is to do the demonstration in diabetics. Now, what we want to demonstrate in diabetics is that patients, thanks to the sensations restored, are able to feel the danger and so remove the danger. And the danger can be an undersized shoe, can be a pebble in the shoe, can be the unnatural walking so that they push too much on the top or the bottom or the back of the foot. And this plan can also be approved by the FDA, as we've assessed already with a former reviewer of the FDA.
Okay, that was helpful. I think even, the reduction in falls is fantastic. An 80% reduction in falls. That's really fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Giacomo, how about you?
Yeah, my question is, can you elaborate a little bit more on what kind of exit pathway do you see? Who are the potential buyer, and what are the potential comparable exit that you envision as fitting here?
Sure, with pleasure. Neuromodulation and diabetes companies do not have a strong product for ulcer prevention today, even though they're going into diabetic neuropathy, but they're doing it mostly for pain. So we want to fill that gap. We want to give them an opportunity to address the ulcer prevention. The companies are companies that sell neuromodulation or companies that are in the diabetic space. Now, in terms of the amount for an exit, we've taken just comparables in the space, in the neuromodulation, in the orthopedics. What we found is that you have 200 million, give or take, if you are in clinical stage, and multiple of billion if you are in commercialization phase.
What kind of revenues did Vertiflex had at the time of acquisition?
So Vertiflex had 60 million revenues. You see from the slide, but anyway, 60 million revenues. So they made a multiple of 7.5.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Francesco. Time's up. Great to have you with us today. All right. Yep. Thank you, Francesco. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next company, the next presentation is Colospan from Was Asaf. Was, feel free to share your screen when you're ready. Yeah. And Francesco, could you please stop sharing your screen?
Trying.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're it. Thank you.
Sorry.
No worries.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Almost. Yes. Now, yes.
All right. Perfect. So good evening. My name is Boaz Asaf, and I'm the founder and CEO of Colospan. And in the next 5 minutes, I will share with you how we are changing colorectal surgery. I would like to start with a story of one of our patients. Irma Lechuga was diagnosed with rectal cancer at the age of 29. Unfortunately, Irma is not alone, and colorectal cancer is a worldwide disease known all over the world. So Irma was scheduled to chemoradiation, following by a surgery with a plan to resect the disease section and connecting the two segments together, creating colorectal anastomosis. One of the most devastating complications associated with colorectal surgery is anastomotic leakage of colon content into the abdominal cavity. And in the best case scenario, we're talking about longer hospital time, intensive medication, very high rate of pre-operation, and huge cost. In the worst case scenario, we're talking about death. And today, the gold standard that offered by surgeon to patients to deal with the clinical sequelae of leak is diverting stoma. The surgeon is basically taking a small bowel loop and extrude outside to the abdominal wall and connect the patient to a plastic bag to collect the feces. Besides making life very difficult for patients, the stoma is associated with very high rate of surgical complication. Closing the stoma requires another surgery and, of course, huge cost. Here's a short animation describing our solution designed to replace diverting stoma. Oops, sorry. For some reason not working. Okay.
Colospan has developed the CG100, a single-use temporary intraluminal bypass device. After the disease segment is resectioned, the Colospan device placement begins through the placement of a single silicone ring around the colon. The surgeon completes the anastomosis as planned. The device is then inserted into the rectum using a delivery system. Once deployed, the thin silicone sheath is positioned by inflating the 3 balloons, and the delivery system is extracted from the body. All colon content passes through the sheath. Even if there is slight anastomotic dehiscence, there is no spillage into the abdominal cavity. After 10 days, when the risk for leakage is reduced, the device is extracted with no need for surgical intervention. The ring is opened from the outside and extracted like a surgical drain. The balloons are then deflated and the sheath is pulled out from the rectum.
So Eva was treated successfully with our device, and 3 months later, she found out she's pregnant with a 3rd child. Just imagine if she had a stoma, this would be impossible for her. So far, we treated successfully over 130 patients with our device. We are significantly safer and better than the standard of care. We are approved in Europe under the MDR and ready for launch, and we have a breakthrough designation from the FDA. And our study with an IDE approval is enrolling in the US with 11 enrolling sites, both in the US and Europe, and 20% of patients already enrolled. We're addressing a sizable and growing market of $6 billion based on 1 million procedures that are performed in the left lower segment of colon and rectum per year. And the economic story is also very simple, and we have a model and some proof showing that we can save hospitals and payers up to $40,000 per patient. We identified 3 direct competitors, and we believe we have some significant advantage over all of them. But at the same time, we're happy to see some more companies addressing the same unmet clinical need. Our potential partners list include worldwide stapling, surgical, endoscopy, and even ostomy companies. And we already have Becton Dickinson as a strategic investor. We're now raising $20 million that will take us all the way to FDA approval, beginning of 2028. But a much earlier inflection point will be end of 2026, when we will complete patient enrollment to the study. And out of the 20 million, 4 million already committed by the EAC. Our team includes top professionals in development, commercialization, and regulatory of medical devices. So new devices frequently provide incremental change in care, but rarely does an innovation have the ability to completely transform the standard of care for better while answering or serving all the key stakeholders. Colospan is doing exactly that with its device. We have built a strong company addressing the #1 unmet need in colorectal surgery with tremendous economic upside. Our assets from people to IP to clinical and regulatory position us strongly to become the category leader in this domain. So thank you, and I welcome you to join us in transforming colorectal surgery.
Thanks so much, Boaz. Gabor, would you like to start? What do you think?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, and congratulations on the device and your journey. I'm interested in about the user funds. Why did you need 10 million in this fundraising round?
So we're raising 20 million? Yeah. We're raising 20 million. 10 million will go into the clinical study to completion, 3 million into the regulatory path, which is a PMA, then 2 million for upgrade of manufacturing scale up, and 5 million for the launch in Europe.
Thank you. And in your business case, in the business model, you are gonna be a device seller. This is the model?
Yeah, we're gonna be the device seller. We're looking to sell to hospitals. In the US, it's going to be hospital purchasing groups, either through, in the US, it's probably going to be direct later on. And in Europe, it's going to be a mix between direct and distributors, depends on the territory.
Okay, and how do you see the training for the surgeons for this procedure? Do you identify any problems during that can occur or disadvantages of this solution?
So far, based on our clinical data, we've seen that the learning curve of a surgeon is about 2 cases per to learn how to use the device. In terms of time, we collect the data, how much time we added to the procedure. So using our device takes them about 7 minutes out of a procedure which is about 3.5 hours. And performing a stoma, it takes about 20 minutes. So we actually saving some time and money, but that's not the main saving. The main saving is saving the second surgery to close the stoma, which is a huge cost.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gabor. Kate, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering on with your procedure, the complications you still have, are those resolvable? Could you change how the device is designed to resolve those, or are they just going to happen? Maybe give us more color on that.
So we did learn a lot of information during the clinical trials. I mean, we started this journey with only one size of the device. Now we have two sides of the device because of some complications. We also developed a very innovative and simple kit that allows us to measure for the compliance of the colon before installing the device intraoperatively. And this allows us to decide and share the information with the surgeon whether to install the medium or the large device, or to exclude the patient because it has a too non-compliant colon. And again, FDA reviewed that and they're okay with the mitigations, and the surgeons are very happy with it. But we did have our share of learning through the clinical data studies, of course.
That's great. And one quick question. So what are the terms on your 20 million?
So this will be a full round. Again, we got 4 million already committed by the EIC. Becton Dickinson are going to be participating as well. We're looking for a lead investor. We're looking at pre-money, and I can give you the pre-money of one of our competitors, which is less advanced, Seyfield. They raised the last round 55 million euro pre-money. We're going to be more attractive than that.
Okay, thank you.
Giacomo, do you have any questions?
Yes, if you can perhaps give me a little bit more flavor on the European commercialization strategy.
Okay. So like I said, I mean, we have the MDR approval, so ready for launch. We're looking, and we have a very, very detailed marketing plan that once we get the money and have the resources. So in the DACH countries, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, we're going to plan direct sales based on the clinical sites that we have in these countries. In other territories like Italy or Spain, we're going to use distributors, and we're already in discussion with some very, very large distributors in Europe that are selling colorectal devices, which are very, very enthusiastic to sell this device. Obviously, the margin, I mean, we have huge margins with this device. Just to give you an idea, in Germany, we have an OPS code. So we've seen hospitals negotiating price of around 6,000 euro for this device. And our cost is around 300 euro. So we have a huge margin, so we can allow ourselves to have both direct and good distribution networks and still have good margins in both.
And how much money of the 20 million will be dedicated to commercial effort in Europe?
5. So 25%. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mateusz, how about you?
Yeah, I was just wondering about confidence of surgeons to use this device, because obviously anastomosis insufficiency is a disaster. How many % of cases where a stoma is indicated do you think one could really use your device? Because I suppose it's not 100%.
It's never 100%. I mean, my background is from sales and marketing with Johnson & Johnson. I bring 23 years of experience in this market. Obviously, there's no device that fits all, but we can assume that about 90% of patients will get a device like that, because I've been talking for the last 15 years to roughly 2,000 surgeons, and there's no single one that hearing that we're dealing with stomas and leaks that is not stopping to listen more. This is, as one of the surgeons in this field described, if someone can safely replace diverting stoma, this will be the holy grail of colorectal surgery. So these surgeons are looking for a solution. It's a huge unmet need. Just imagine, I mean, the leak rate is about 10 to 15%, but you're giving stoma to 100%. So they know that 85 to 90% of the patient getting stoma for nothing. but they don't have any tool that will allow them to have the same kind of protection without the extreme or the complication of a stoma. So they're looking for a solution. So we get a lot. I mean, there's many surgeons and sites looking to join the study even and get used to this device.
Thank you, Boaz.
All right, thanks so much, Boaz, for your presentation. All right, the final pitch is Medaf AI. Anush Yadav, founder of the company, will share the opportunity with us. Anush, feel free to share your screen and go ahead with the presentation.
Everyone, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Thank you for having me. So, yes, good evening, everyone. We are Medaf, Medical Affairs Transform. To give a quick go through that why I started this company. I'm a medical doctor by background, and I was working in Abbott as a medical science liaison. So MSLs, they are the lowest hanging fruit of medical affairs team. So what do they do is they meet KOLs. KOLs are practicing physicians who are leaders of the therapy area, and they have been practicing for 15 years. So this is called medical affairs. And when I learned prompt engineering and data analytics, I came up with the problem that was not uncovered. So the problem was MSLs are tracking more than 10 to 40 states without any strategic tools. The data is being tracked, but the priority is lacking. And the medical insights, they get scattered across team members or tools. So this is $1 million problem. Suppose a KOL said that this medicine could be improved. Like when I was in Abbott, the clarithromycin had a bad taste and the revenue was going down. So we improved the product by adding a vanillin coating and we saw increased sales. So the company and KOLs, how do we decide how's the engagement score? How will, like, if they will pursue us for an advisory board or conference speaking? That lacks AI, so we are removing that. And what do medical affairs team really want? They want fast and enhanced engagements with KOLs and cross-team members. And the platform should be compliance tracking with HIPAA and Sunshine Act. And the insight generation should be without any admin burden. The solution we are providing, we will give the KOL data and an AI-powered intelligent platform to the medical affairs team that will give strategy recommendations for MSLs so that they don't have to call everyone their medical managers or directors. The strategy will be based on the KOL tiering and behavior. And after the meeting, the recordings or the meeting notes, we will do a sentiment analysis and action mapping so that how can we improve our company rapport with the KOLs. So the market opportunity is there are more than 30,000 MSLs globally, and total there are more than 200K medical affairs professionals, and they are spending more than $15 billion annually. As you know, there is increasing demand for insight-driven engagement platforms. And when I took feedback from more than 50 medical affairs professionals, they reported 68% of dissatisfaction with the current platforms. And I'll show you the steps of use. So these are the competitors. Viva and IQVIA are the big giants, but currently they are not focusing on any AI insight tagging, urgency task management. They focus on KOL tracking. That increases the pressure on medical affairs professional because they should be focusing on scientific engagement rather than manual reporting. So this is the roadmap. We have a live MVP and a dashboard. The value we provide is we are high value and fast execution. The current CRMs are of high value but slow execution. Some companies use emails and outdated CRM. They are low value but fast execution. So we can connect on LinkedIn, and this is the platform. So we have a patent pending status on this. Suppose this is Dr. Lisa. We want to engage with her to be an advisor board in our company. So you will ask why? Because she published an article and she got really famous. That's why the company wants her to be an advisor in it. And then MedAI will provide a strategy for this. And currently, many companies spend more than 200 to 500K on competitive intelligence. We will remove that, saving company lots of money. And to show how well the strategies and the performance is working, you can easily see here how many insights are being generated and what's the engagement trend. And also cross-team collaboration. So we are looking for funding to start the project. This is only an MVP. And currently we have one LOI from a medical device company that is from Korea, and they are starting to launch in US. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Anush, for your presentation. Kate, what do you think? Would you like to start with your comments or questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear. So are you using an LLM to do this? What technology are you doing to do this?
So we are using 3 LLMs for sentiment analysis, strategy, and data reporting.
Yes. How do
for-
you handle hallucinations, and how do you ensure that the data is accurate and inaccurate things aren't created?
So it will be based upon the therapy area. And for that, we need to do a beta testing.
Okay, and then have you thought about how you would price this? Because it sounds like they're spending a lot of money on doing kind of the other things, the KOL management. I do think
Yes.
this is a real problem, and because the data, there's so much data and it's all over the place, and it's just really hard to get your hands around it. So I do think it's a real problem. But what do you think your pricing model would be?
So currently we have signed an LOI for 25K for 5 users. And as they are the founding customers, and we will limit only to 3 to 5, then we will increase the price. This is the LOI. As you can see, it will save $31,000 per MSL.
Yeah, and so is it different? Do you have to do anything different to install it at a different client?
Yeah, based on the therapy area.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Kate. Giacomo?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. You were mentioning early that you're planning on launching the platform in different countries in the coming months or years. Can you give us a little bit more information on the roadmap of the commercial launch in the coming years, and how much of this will be financed with the current round?
So depending on the country, like in Europe, the medical affairs team work differently, and in US and in India, there's different working conditions and the therapy area. So depending on the users and how much money they are willing to sign, we have for 25K, we will give only 5 users. So the beta testing, we will start in Q1 2026. And the funding we require for making the product and the tech part.
Thank you.
All right, Gabor?
Yeah, thank you very much. My question would be, you mentioned that you have to somehow adjust this solution to different therapy area, different client. Can you walk me through about it? So could you just tell me, just pick a therapy area, and could you please walk me through it, how it's going to happen? Because I'm really interested in about, for example, the sales cycles and how much time does for example, the account managers have to spend with the client?
So as you can see, this is only an MVP based on immunotherapy. It will show all the emerging research topic, the publications. So it's useful because an MSL, if he's standing in front of a KOL, the practicing physician, he should know everything, every latest article, or if he can send it to him. So that's create an impact that this company is good. They know about the product, and then it will, the scientific insights will be shown according to the immunotherapy. And who are the competitors? Like another company, they are launching a new product. So all the team members should be aware of that. It's called knowledge transfer, and currently there's a gap, so we will remove this. And we can change it according to an oncology company or a medical device. So we are in talking terms to a medical device company. They have an AI for MRI machines. So we are preparing a strategy for them based on the KOL, who should they include in their advisor board, what will be the engagement score, and how can they pursue more.
Okay, great. And when we are talking about, for example, exit, what are your plans? Do you have already identified targets for that, or?
The exit plan?
Yeah, about the exit plan. So have you identified certain companies or fields that's gonna be a great fit to be acquired?
Yeah. There are many companies, IQVIA or any of the competitors. They are all giants in this area.
And what is the stage that you want to reach to be a perfect how should I say an acquisition target?
So first we want to target all the small to mid-sized companies, generate revenue, then become more credible, and then we are looking for exit plan. Okay,
so what kind of revenue level you want to reach? So what's gonna be your idea, or what would you consider to what level do you want to reach?
So in the next 3 years, we're planning 100 million.
Okay.
Yeah, because the current competitors, they are in billions. I don't think they will choose us before that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Gabor. Matthias, anything from your side? Any question or comment?
Yeah, Anu, thank you very much. I have a question regarding defensibility. So the way I see it, you are like pitch book for KOL plus a CRM, something like that. And you talked about patents, but given that software is very difficult to patent, so how are you going to defend this, and how is any other new competitor not coming and copying what you're doing?
So there are competitors who can copy, but it takes credibility, and like I have been in the field, I know what are the real problems. And there are more than 3 new competitors I saw. They tried to pursue it, but after a month they left because it's difficult to manage all the data and to do predictive analytics and KOL management. And about the patent, it's patent pending. So we will look over that. How does it go?
Thank you, Anu.
All right, then. Thanks so much, Anu, for your presentation. Thank you for answering all the questions as well. That would be all for us for tonight. Kate, Giacomo, thank you again. I know we were on the board previously. Thank you again for your contribution. Matheus, Gabor, great to meet you as advisor. Hope we will see you again at our future events. All the presenters, ACORAI, Aevumed, Sensars, Colospan, Medaf, AI, thank you for your presentations. And all the investors, people in the audience, thank you for staying with us until the end. Our next Healthtech event will be potentially in January next year. We will let you know soon about it. Thank you again, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.